Hi there, welcome to the Noah Presgrove case. Today we're focusing back in on Kaden Pressy, his timeline, the comparison between June 2024 and July 2024. One being a private police recorded interview, which just so happened to be leaked and revealed publicly, and the other one just straight up being a publicly recorded video by Partners in True Crime. It's just comparing and contrasting the inconsistencies and how the times do differ from the same said individual. And whilst granted I've done a video like this in the past, I want to reiterate it again today to relearn, pick up on anything different, remember it, because it is hard to have it all in the head at once and maintain it. And it could be the same for some of you. Welcome to those that are currently here during this live premiere. You can make use of the live chat located on the right hand side of the screen there. And for people watching on catch up who can't see the live chat, well, it should be there. It'll be done as a replay, hence why you can't engage with it. The live chat is only available for when the premiere of the video is live. And once that's over, the video becomes standard format, meaning anyone who wants to comment, you do so down below under the video. But that can apply to people who are watching the live premiere too. After watching this, if you've got any additional thoughts, questions, observations to point out, you can do so down below and I'll try and respond back when possible. Hopefully I could respond to some today. We'll just see how things go, conscious of time. If you do want to catch up on recent coverage by me, top right corner of the screen, you will see the I symbol up there. Click on that and you'll get the drop down box for the full playlist and loose videos in between. And furthermore, if you do want to support this channel in the most practical, efficient and anonymous way, down below in the comments, there'll be a pinned message by me at the top with additional links, for example, PayPal. I was granted in yesterday's video, I would have mentioned and referred to the super chat, super sticker thing. That's another way of showing support via YouTube directly. As you see, like the money icon symbol located on the far right, where the live chat is during a live premiere, and then when that's ended and it's like normal video format, the icon moves a bit more to the left, I think. But because YouTube takes a 30 to 40% cut, it's not worth doing it that way unless you still want to, which is still good of people to do so. So shout out to those who have done so, and anyone else in between that may have shown support on the channel here or there and in the background too. But the PayPal link is down below. Just want to give a heads up in case new people come along and don't know what's up or what's going on, just for that clarity. But that aside, we're going to jump into the map analysis today, video project, like what you've seen in the past, bullet pointed in a certain order, comparing, contrasting with what's said here, what's said there, and reiterate it to some people. I'm doing this partially indirectly for Tim Daniel, because Tim in recent time has made posts here and there about Kaden Pressy and archived screenshots, conversations of certain times, such as with Kaden. When did he wake up? When did he truly go to sleep? At what exact time? Because it differs. What about Georgia's situation and other bits and bobs in between? I said I was going to try and get into it and learn, but also do my own thing as it will help. And to start off with, ever since, there's been some additional things going on. Breaking news, new post finally being retrieved or found. So you can always check them out on my channel recently. They had to be prioritized. But now, a little moment of silence where we can focus in on other areas and try and catch up. There is another particular post in regards to some social media by either Avery's point of view, but more of a video compilation which had been looked at in the past, and I tried doing it as best as I could, and it seems like it's been debunked since, or it was debunked a while ago, but it's been made much clearer now. Maybe I do a standalone video on that, because the theme of misunderstanding there really doesn't surprise me with others out there, how they can jump the gun and what they see at a time and the damage it causes down the line. You know, I was never around day one on this case, but if I was, I think it would have been a little bit easier to learn in a way and to, you know, catch up and keep on top of. Hence one of the reasons why I do videos fairly often, because Just imagine if I stopped for like 2 weeks, how much I would miss out on, and then having to try and catch up on it all. It would be too much progression. Anyway, I thought I'd just share that with you. So with that all being said, we'll just go on Google Earth right now, read it out, analyse, and then we'll go from there and see what's needed. Here we are. So you can see the colour coding, and I'll tell you which one is which from the perspective of interview that's taken place. As for the dates, some of which could be a little bit outdated now, because this project was created in the past, but it's archived then, relevant at the time. And the purpose of this is to show to you the discrepancies, whether you're team Kaden Pressy or team Jack Newton or in between. What's on here is what's been said by Kaden Pressy in his interviews, right? It's not putting words into his mouth. It's not twisting or turning like that. It's interpreting what he had said at the time in his wording and maybe limited format, whether that be formal, informal, and then applying it here, then comparing and contrasting. And like I said, whilst I've done it before, I try now just to see if I see it in any different ways or if I can interpret it any differently. So, the right-hand side, highlighted in red, is Partners in True Crime interview podcast with what Kaden Pressy had said. Is every single detail mentioned here? No. But the more important ones and the timestamps are given. Okay? On the left-hand side is the private police recorded interview, which was later leaked. What we've heard of since. Tried pairing it up as best as I could. It's a complete mess as you see on screen there, but when we zoom in, it will be okay. The difference between the left and right is just under a 1 month time difference. So it's not that great in between. But both these, when you compare back to 2023, a fair bit of time has passed by since. What I always say and will stick with, even if there are discrepancies with Kaden Pressy's formal and public, more informal interviews timelines, I'd say what matters more is the comparison between his 2024 police interview and his 2023 police interview. But we can't do that at that moment in time because it's just not available publicly. What does make me wonder is if the 2024 interview was leaked or passed around, as people claim, by Alicia, how come the same wasn't done for the one in 2023? If it's done in 24, why not 23? If that was leaked, obviously it wouldn't be a good thing if it was, but the learning from that could be significant and greater, in my opinion. Take in consideration what Kaden Pressy may have said, more so in recent time from one of the live chats of my live premieres. Those details will not be included in this video or project because, as said, this project is primarily focusing on the June 24 police interview and the July Partners in True Crime interview with Kaden. And furthermore, whilst we're looking at the Partners in True Crime public interview, I'm not adding in details from his part 2 interview alongside Alicia Lee. Okay? I'm just working with what we've got here and it just works. Let's just put it like that. We don't want to add too much more. Maybe that could be reserved for a later point. How does one begin to understand this? Well, first of all, you look at the first point, and that's to do with the arrival of Kaden Pressy at the party house. Kaden Pressy pretty much said in the police private interview that he arrived at the party on a Friday. He did also say he arrived on a Saturday, but changed it to Friday. Granted, the way the police were being in that interview, they were kind of being a little bit forceful and saying, you know what, Kaden, you were probably there Friday. It'd be a normal thing to do so, getting there on that day when the party has started. Yeah, you were likely there doing it. And Caden's like, yeah, I was there Friday. You could say it's an unnatural response by Kaden, but why would Kaden crumble under that pressure? Because the force is greater, the presence is a bit overwhelming, and Kaden doesn't want to cause trouble and respect his elders, so it's just easier to go along with what the police say and put in his mouth, even though he doesn't mean it. That's how it can be interpreted. But Kaden did say in his words, in the police recorded interview, Kaden arrived on a Friday. Partners in True Crime, when that interview took place, Kaden Pressy said he arrived Saturday. There's already a discrepancy. You're not sure what day you showed up at the party first and then remained at. Did you arrive on the Friday or did you arrive on Saturday? And Kaden says, I arrived on Saturday. I first came on Friday as well. It's either one or the other. But you got two different interviews where he says two different answers. It's not ideal, is it, the situation? Does it matter if there is a discrepancy in what day he arrived on? Absolutely. Because when it comes to the party, although Noah Presgrove arrived on the Saturday, so if anything happened a day before on the Friday, it wouldn't matter that much because Noah wouldn't be there. But if Kaden Pressy was there on Friday, it would just be interesting to know what the atmosphere was like, who was there, was the party underway or was it being planned out, any decorations, any banners, casually hanging out, doing anything in particular, getting in alcohol in preparation, things like that, and overhearing any conversations or discussions, references, words about Noah Presgrove. I know some people will say, can't we just call the partygoers friends of Noah instead? Well, you could in some regard, but to be honest, in general, I like to refer to it as partygoers, whether you live there or not, whether you're friends with Noah or not, because it's a general term and it's more time efficient. Because there will be maybe a handful of people that were at the party at some point that didn't even know who Noah was, were kind of like strangers. And in terms of how many were at the party, the debate is, was there 40 people at the party all at once? Or was it a total of 40 different people that came and left from Friday to Monday, as what Justin Roy has suggested? See, language and wording goes a long bloody way. It would make sense for it to be coming and going and a total of 40 over time, not concurrently, but would you call it concurrently or would you just say in total over time, collectively? At like a peak number, I wonder how many people were at the party on one of the days. What was the peak amount of people present? If that can be answered down below, that would be good. We saw a recent reference, which could have been in the past, or a comment made on my YouTube channel or Facebook. I think it's on my YouTube channel in recent time. Robin Smith did respond to one of the questions and said, well, Stevie Howard filed out some report or police report of Donna Bond or something, and in reference mentioning about the 40 people being at the party, as if there was 40 there all at once. So there is that rough reference, just thought I'd throw it in there. But yeah, if Kaden Pressy was there on a Friday, he may have seen and heard things which we don't know of, and that could be of interest in learning about the case in general, whether it be dodgy things or harmless. Got to take in mind that at least when it came to the public interview, at the start, early on, when Kaden was talking, he said he doesn't want to talk about Friday. He just wants to focus in on the likes of Saturday and Sunday only. Which is interesting because later on in that interview, Kaden then started going in depth about Monday's details too. So it looks like there was a change of mind midway through the interview from the looks of it. Let's remember that. But to say, I don't want to talk about Friday, you could interpret that in two different ways. You don't want to talk about Friday because when it comes to the party, you weren't there, so you don't know what happened, you didn't see much. There's no point talking about it. I don't want to talk about it because I've got nothing to say. Or you could interpret it as, Don't want to be talking about Friday because it's very sensitive, it's private. I've discussed it with the police, but that's about it. I can't be telling you about it publicly because it could be legal issues, it could harm the case. At the time, that's how I kind of interpreted it at. Other people were like, nah, Raf, probably not. But, you know, ever since when 1 month before, or close to a month before, the previous interview, the private police recorded one of June, well, Kaden said he was there Friday. That's what's interesting. Kaden first arrived at the party on the Friday, but also Kaden Pressy first arrived on the Saturday in Partners in True Crime. And if you're referring to Partners in True Crime, the actual part 2 interview of Kaden Pressy and Alicia, which was never released, Kaden Pressy said in that particular interview that he came on down to that party house and came across the girls there for the very first time. Never seen them girls before. Even though in the part 1 interview of Partners in True Crime, Kaden Pressy said, well, all of us were long-time friends that met in a car park lot in the past, hanging out, drinking alcohol. And in terms of this particular party, Sunday morning, all our long-time friends, all 8 to 9 of us, went out to Warwick to the gas station and got food. So let's just put this into perspective with all due respect. Whereas people can criticise and go after Carter Combs for at one point saying, I didn't even know who Noah Presgrove was. But at the same time, you supposedly do because you're friends. That could be considered suspicious, I know. But for Kaden Pressy to say he's friends with these different party goers and have known them for a very long time, for them to switch up with the same people being interviewed, but in part 2 to say, well, actually, it's the first time being here. It's the first time being around these girls. Well, then they're not exactly your friends then. But you've also said you've hung out with them in the past. So which one is it? Either you know the people or you don't. And the theme of, in this case, is there seems to be a pattern with a range of different people possibly disassociating with one another, acting as if they don't know one another, nor friends or connected. Oh, is that because you don't want anything to do with a certain said individual? Because it might harm you, it might drag you down, it could cause you complications? What the hell is going on? Either you know someone or you don't. It shouldn't be that difficult. And it shouldn't be down to memory loss either. You either know a familiar face or not. You've either seen them before and a fair few times in the past, so it's imprinted in your mind, or it's just completely new to you. What are we supposed to believe? Just like, what are we supposed to believe in what day one arrived to the party? Friday or Saturday? 2 different interviews, 2 different stories. That's what I find interesting. And that is just the first point. Can you see it's a bit of a problem? Friday or Saturday? Which day did you arrive on? Of course, Kaden Pressy, if he is present and if he wants to, he can answer in the comment section or the live chat if he wants. This is not me being negative in a very critical way. It's just me making observations based off what one person said here and then comparing it to what they've said at a later point. And it's just interesting to know. The next one, what we refer to, is just underneath. Saturday, Noah Presgrove wrestled Mikey Lair outside. Well, you can see there's already a problem already. And in the past, people did pounce on me like a wildcat by saying that's incorrect and Mikey wasn't there on the Saturday. Well, supposedly that's correct. Yeah, that's true. But as for what Kaden Pressy had said in the private police interview, Mikey Lair was at the party on the Saturday and was wrestling Noah Presgrove. That's a problem. When you compare it to Partners in True Crime, it's not mentioned here because it just wasn't acknowledged the same way at that moment. But when you see it from other points of views with the footage and what people have said in the discussions and the hard evidence that Mikey was there Sunday And Kaden had made, I think Kaden had made reference to Mikey being there on Sunday too, but not the same with the Saturday. Only in the police recorded interview where Kaden says Mikey was there Saturday. See, what you would think or hope to think is where the incorrect details lay or lie more so in the public interviews, because there's only so much you can say, and because it's informal, you could get a bit sloppy in recounting stories. But if you're referring to a formal police interview, you might be a bit more focused, you might be more honest because you want to assist and help and be very truthful. So to say that Mikey was there Saturday when, from what most people have said, that's incorrect. Mikey only showed up on the Sunday, which was the day where Noah Presgrove returned back to the party in the afternoon, evening time by getting a lift down to the place, supposedly, as it's been claimed, by a guy called Gage Jessen, in which Jack Newton reached out to, possibly, for Gage to pick Noah up, pick Mikey Lair up, and anyone else in between. Carlson Myers, I don't know about him though, to drive on down to the party house, drop him off, and then leave. Well, it doesn't tie in with Kaden Pressy's police interview, does it? No. So the only point what we've got here is about Sunday going to Warwick with friends for breakfast. But in Partners in True Crime Part 2 interview, it wouldn't quite tie in here. Going to Warwick, friends for breakfast. Oh, but by the way, it's the first time I've seen some of these girls. These girls are the first time I've seen them at this house, at this party. Either your friends or not, long time or first time. And it's a bit of a complication there. Then after that breakfast, returning back to the party with the girls only and staying there whilst watching movies, TV, whilst the rest of the guys head back out, including Noah, and possibly, supposedly, meeting up with Caleb Newton, Jack Newton's father. We compare and contrast to how it was worded in the private interview. If I can see it clearly. For some reason, it doesn't seem to show the whole text, which is unfortunate. But how it was worded by Kaden, either Saturday or Sunday, stayed at house with the girls and watched a movie. Later on the same day, went to the store to buy some alcohol. So as you can see, there's some additional details mentioned here, which were not mentioned in Partners in True Crime, such as going out to buy alcohol. Though I do remember Kaden Pressy did a public Facebook post announcing it about going out to the store for alcohol. Maybe that was the mini mart, could be wrong. But Kaden was there to witness the girls or people with him, including Avery, buying it. Kaden was simply just a witness, but present at the time, from what I can remember. So there's a bit of consistency there, but the details aren't mentioned the same in Partners in True Crime. Maybe because Kaden didn't remember it or didn't see the need to reiterate it on that occasion, but still, some missing details a bit loose. And as well, it's the wording and the language. Saturday or Sunday, what day did it happen on? Ideally, realistically, and practically speaking, more sense for it to be on a Saturday and tie in line with Partners in True Crime. But due to the wording, due to the language, and when hearing Kaden talk, it did switch and change from Saturday to Sunday to Sunday to Saturday. It got confusing. And that's why I've worded it the way I have done here. 12 p.m. Noah Presgrove argues with Jack Newton, not the other way around. And at 12 p.m. being Saturday. And ever since, I think we've heard it reiterated again, I believe, and it's been made a little bit clearer. How does it compare to what we see here? Well, of course, there's some additional details mentioned here which weren't mentioned in the, well, from what I can remember at least, there'll be some details here which weren't added into the private interview, right? So the afternoon on the Sunday, shooting animals. I put in brackets the same, which means what was said there was also mentioned in the police recorded interview. Though the police recorded interview went into much more detail regarding that particular event. Because what wasn't mentioned in Partners in True Crime but was in the police interview was they were in Jack's Ford Ranger pickup truck, and it was driving across the fields or a field while shooting animals. Okay? So that was extra information added on in the private interview, I believe. So, interesting. Returning back to the party house when dark. Overheard Noah Presgrove wanting a shower. See, this is the thing. At least from what I can remember, I don't believe there was much emphasis or much acknowledgement, if not any at all, about the argument on Saturday, at least in this particular interview. Not to the same degree as what was mentioned in the private interview with Noah and Jack Newton. I'll just check the markers on the side to make sure I've not missed anything. No, we'll get to that a bit later. Okay. So yeah, no real mention or true acknowledgement of the argument Saturday. And the reason why I say that is because from what Kaden Pressy had said on Partners in True Crime interview part 1 is that Saturday was relatively normal. It was all okay, no issues whatsoever. And technically that would be somewhat true, I guess. Because if you say 12 p.m, you're basically referring to really early hours of Sunday morning, but still no true mention or deep mention of it in Partners in True Crime from what I can remember. But the emphasis, the highlight of it definitely mentioned more in the police one. So it shows there's a bit more significance here. It's not as simple, this, though. It's not as simple as all the important, juicy details mentioned in the police interview and then all the lesser stuff mentioned in Partners in True Crime. It's a bit of a mixed bag. Some important details are mentioned in Partners in True Crime, but they're not mentioned in the police interview. And then some important details in the police interview aren't exactly mentioned in the Partners in True Crime one. So it's a bit all over the place. That's why it's kind of hard to keep up with. And when looking back at it now, it's just a little bit more dodgy in the wording. But yeah, 12 p.m. Noah Presgrove argues with Jack Newton that way round, even though the way it's been worded by Jack previously is that Jack and Noah had an argument together, girl trouble related, as if both were having a go at one another, like both were somewhat responsible. And then when it came to apologising, crying and making up afterwards, it was okay in the end. And yet, when we've heard from the likes of Justin Roy, it was quite aggressive, physical, pushing and shoving. Kaden Pressy had to get involved and break the fight up, break the argument up. Kaden Pressy has never once acknowledged that. Kaden Pressy has never once mentioned that. Yet Justin Roy did. So what's that all about? If Kaden Pressy is about, let me know your thoughts. Why does Justin say that you broke up the argument which occurred past Saturday midnight going into early Sunday morning? How bad was it really? And with the context mentioned, I believe more so in the, only in the private police interview, is that Noah was arguing and yelling at Jack because of what Jack had done behind Noah's back, flirting with Noah's girlfriend, or, as some have claimed, flirting with Noah's ex-girlfriend at the time, which would mean Noah is in no right to be complaining or having a go. That ex-girlfriend can do whatever she likes. But granted, Jack probably shouldn't be doing it, supposedly, if that's true, because he's with Carter at the time. And what with the conversation between Justin and Alicia at some point, as we saw from Facebook perspective messages, that Noah was going or threatening to tell Carter what Jack had done behind the back. So all kinds of little loose details here and there, right? But, you know, if you want to do a bit of a crossover, Saturday night, past midnight going into Sunday, acknowledgement mentioned in police interview, but not exactly mentioned in the Partners in True Crime public interview. I think it's quite significant, don't you? Anyway, next thing. Sunday, Kaden Pressy, Jack Newton, Brylan Sweat, Isaac Rojas, Noah Presgrove shooting animals on land. Yeah. And with the usage of the Ford Ranger. cousin arrived. Now, how it's worded there is pretty basic. The cousin arrived, but what about the time? I think there might be a chance that the time wasn't directly given or clearly given, but just to compare with where we're at on here. Overhearing about Noah wanting a shower, which was Sunday night. The actual shower taking place Monday morning, unless Noah had a few showers at the house. 10:30 p.m. is when the cousin arrived. Kaden Pressy sobers up. So if it's true, and from what I can remember, because some time has passed by now, 10:30, timestamp given. In the police recorded one, was the timestamp given? Well, from the notes that I've made, it doesn't seem to be the case. And once again, you would think that if certain timestamps are given in the private interview, they would not be mentioned in the public interview, or less likely. But as I said, it's not that simple. Some timestamps are mentioned in the public interview, but not mentioned at all in the private one. There's that as well, at times. Noah Presgrove asked Kaden for a lift home. 2 in the morning, Kaden Pressy sleeps. 2:42 is when Kaden's woken up by Alicia about Georgia making it back home. And then around 3 in the morning, Kaden goes back to sleep. And then, last but not least, 5:15 is woken up one more time because of Jack Newton announcing the death of Noah. Comparing it to here, which is a bit richer in detail, cousin arrived, but no true time really given. Sunday or Monday, all asleep, but Colton Newton, Travis Monson, and a skinny guy unknown returned to the house to collect alcohol. That specific detail was never mentioned in the public Partisan True Crime interview, but was mentioned in the police one, which is private. A detail like that sounds much more significant. It's reserved for the private communication only with authorities. For it not to be mentioned publicly implies is there a bit more depth to it. Are these people persons of interest? Colton Newton? Really? I think there was a time where Colton denied being at the party, but also was at the party. Colton saying, yeah, I was there on Saturday, but I didn't return on Sunday because when talking to Carter on Saturday in the room or in the corner, I was told off by Jack, my younger brother, to not come back again. If that's really true, what doesn't help is Colton at a later point said, no, I didn't even go there. I wasn't even at the party. And Travis was with me. And yet Kaden says both Travis and Colton were at the party and returned back to the party from how it's worded. That's quite significant. And we've seen a post on Facebook, a selfie in the bathroom area, same place taken with Noah and Jack, but earlier on the Saturday, I think it had a timestamp too, or an overlay somewhere, or a direct post, an actual direct post of when it was updated or used as a profile picture by Travis Monson of him in the bathroom area at the time of the party, proving that he was there. And for Colton to say he wasn't, which is weird, but for Colton to say he was, he himself was there, and Travis was with him, but he wasn't there, and Travis wasn't there, it's a bit of a mess. What the hell is going on about that? How significant is it that you got Colton, Travis, and an unknown skinny guy returning back to the house? Well, that supposedly happened late Sunday going into Monday morning. But is there a chance of a timestamp corresponding with around the time of when Noah had walked away from the party house? Or when maybe trying to return back after some time, cooling down? Kaden Pressy never gave a timestamp about that, nor in the police recorded interview. It would have been very interesting to know what time Travis, Colton, and a skinny guy returned back to the house. And if Kaden Pressy could give more context about it, that would be of some value. But I just want to know your thoughts about it. The next one being Monday, 1:30 in the morning, Kaden Pressy films Brylan slapping Noah. Oh, Warlight ref, you said it wrong. That's not the correct time. It's 1:05. Oh, don't worry, everyone. It's all under control. Yeah, reality is, this is what Kaden said in the police interview. an inaccurate time given, by mistake likely, but still wrong, because we've seen it mentioned elsewhere. And I believe it was like the overlay outline of the actual time shown as proof 2 of 1:05 in the morning when the actual slap took place, that video which Kaden recorded and Noah kind of teased and was asking to be slapped by Brylan Sweat. Kaden didn't quite mention it that way in the Partisan True Crime interview. So, like, once again, certain details missed out, times missed out. But even when the details were mentioned in the private sector with an actual timestamp, even that was still wrong, the actual time, which is unfortunate. Next thing, what Kaden mentioned here, which he didn't mention in the public interview, was 2 to 3 in the morning in between Jasmine Millan said to him, to Kaden, that Noah had walked off. No search. Interesting. In between 2 to 3 in the morning, which sounds completely different to Jack's reference of 3:30. Some could interpret it as, well, maybe Noah left earlier than what Jack said. Others would interpret it as, well, maybe Noah did leave and walk away between 2 to 3 in the morning, then returned back and then walked away again afterwards. My interpretation of this would be, it's likely that what Jasmine Millan was referring to as for the time was the same thing that Jack Newton was referring to. It's just that one gives a rough estimate and then the other one gives a direct time. Both could be right about it being one event, but both aren't on the same wavelength at a certain time with the timing of when it did actually happen. It's a bit of a problem, but there you go. Reference to Kaden Pressy, 2:40 in the morning, side-by-side roll over, Noah Presgrove hurt, Kaden Pressy saw video. Well, you could interpret it that way. More so, Kaden Pressy saw a photo which was from a video. So, apologies about that, but that's just how it was written at the time of when interpreting it. Kaden said he was shown a photo, likely a screenshot from the video, because he did mention it as a video. And for Kaden to word it as what they showed me was of the guy or the person walking up to Noah. Well, if you could actually recount seeing the person recording and walking up to Noah, would mean there is a form of movement when you're retelling the story, meaning you probably would have seen the video, even if you only say you saw a photo. To say that, a person moved from here to there, up to there, and you saw blood then, and that's what's followed, well, that sounds more like movement-based, and you don't get movement-based photos, you get movement-based videos. That's how you can interpret it. 2:42, which should be actually 2:43, that's just a little error there. 2:43 in the morning, Alicia calls, Kaden Pressy wakes up. I believe that's the time that was mentioned at the time. But there might have been a transcript which I saw recently which mentioned about closer to 3 in the morning when waking up. So, but primarily the main focus which was noted here is exactly what has been noted in recent time by the likes of Tim Daniel, which is the most standout point. About 3:20 in the morning, Kaden Pressy assumed he saw Noah Presgrove alive at the party and then went back to sleep. That's the biggest issue, and we'll return back to that. Jasmine Millan, Carter Combs washed Noah Presgrove, told after 6 in the morning. Right, that was a reference at the time to what Kaden found out about with who washed who and who was there. But that was mentioned after 6 in the morning, I believe. That's been interpreted. 3:41, Jasmine Millan, wet shirt. So basically, Kaden made a reference to it at the time and was actually referencing about the wet shirt and likely because of the shower situation. So it went to show that what Kaden Pressy interpreted from that Snapchat post was exactly how I interpreted it, showing we're on the same wavelength, which is very interesting. And at 5:15, Jack Newton announces Noah Presgrove's death. So that's another consistent thing there towards the very end. But then the reference of 6:30 in the morning, question mark. And why is that? Because when you compare and contrast to what's been mentioned here, in Partners in True Crime, Part 1, Kaden Pressy said at 6:30 in the morning, Renee Millan, no other names mentioned, arrived at the house. Ever since, maybe a few weeks ago now, Kaden Pressy in the live chat said in response that Renee showed up with her husband, with her daughter Stephanie Millan returning, and Stephanie's boyfriend, a collection of people. But at least at the time of when it was mentioned in Partners in True Crime, no acknowledgement of the other people tagging along with Renee. Just making an observation. But a timestamp was given, 6:30 a.m. Ever since, or when reflecting back on from other points of views, I believe Renee Millan was the one that said, I arrived at the scene, or I arrived at the house at around 7 in the morning or so. Major conflict. True. But between Kaden Pressy did not mention a timestamp in the police interview. And that's what I'm saying. You'd think, if you're going to mention a timestamp, that's quite an important moment, is it not? Important details, maybe sensitive. You'd be sharing that possibly alongside the event of when it occurred privately with police. But no, you reveal a time of when it happened publicly, but you don't tell that to the police privately. That's what I didn't understand. Maybe Kaden didn't give the time to the police back then because he didn't remember at the time. Then a month later, with Partners in True Crime, he remembered the time, or Alicia whispered in his ear and said it was that time, and went from there. But you see, Renee, husband, Stephanie Millan and boyfriend arrived. This, without the time, the mention of the people is more consistent with what Kaden had said in recent time via the live chat. But as for the timing, not mentioned in the police interview, but in the public interview, a time given, which has been contested by different people since. But, referring back to what I said, Kaden Pressy said in the police interview at 3:20 in the morning, Kaden assumed he saw Noah Presgrove alive. Assumed because he didn't actually physically see Noah anywhere in the house. Whilst Kaden Pressy was still awake by 3:20 in the morning, which is 10 minutes before Noah supposedly walked out the house to cool off, and in between this period, probably amidst the shower or the bedroom debacle, and yet Kaden did not see or hear Noah Presgrove at the house, inside, in the same room, but just assumed that Noah was still there. So because you didn't actually see that he was there, you can't say that he was around. Yet in Partners in True Crime, with the timestamps given, that when Kaden had woken up at 2:42 and before going back to sleep, he saw Noah Presgrove, Jack Newton, Jasmine Millan near the beer pong table. And then going back to sleep 3 in the morning. Next time woken up, Noah's no longer there because of 5:15 with the news. So you can see there's a bit of an issue, can't you? It doesn't quite match up. Is there a possibility that Kaden Pressy woke up at 2:43 in the morning, woken up at that time, saw that Noah was there, saw that Jack and Jasmine were awake and next to each other, but then as time passed on at around 3:20, whilst Kaden was still awake and alive, looking around, conscious, then said, well, I can't see Noah anymore. I saw him at around 2:43. I assume he's still around, but I can't see him anymore. Is that how you can bridge the gap between one interview with the other, maybe? But it doesn't bridge the gap, it widens it in some way, because if it's true that at 2:43 Kaden Pressy was woken up, does that actually correlate with the timestamp at 2:40 in the morning of the after effects of the side-by-side rollover of Noah Presgrove being hurt? Because at 2:43 in Partners in True Crime, Kaden Pressy said he saw Noah Presgrove alive with Jack, with Jasmine, near the beer pong table or more so the kitchen area. Okay, but 3 minutes before that, 3 minutes before Alicia called, 3 minutes before Kaden woke up to see Noah alive in the house doing okay, 3 minutes before that, you had the side-by-side rollover. You just wouldn't expect Noah Presgrove, if he is hurt as well, busted lip and or nose, bloodied, to just get up, dust himself off, go in casually, even if he's not quite in the right frame of mind or physically able, and then just stand there like nothing went wrong and in good shape and condition for 3 minutes to pass by in between those events for then Kaden to wake up and realise, oh, Noah's there. No idea of what just happened. No mention of whether he's dusty, dirty, as it's been mentioned many times by other people, and possibly injured too. Nope. So it's either one or the other. You get what I'm saying? If Kaden Pressy was to have woken up at 2:43 in the morning and saw Noah Presgrove inside the house, it doesn't tie in with the private interview at the details mentioned that at 2:40 in the morning, you had the side-by-side rollover. 3 minutes later, you had Noah inside of the house like nothing went wrong. Because at least how the story has been told with time, that after the side-by-side rollover, Noah then went straight for a shower and was escorted there and assisted. So really, you either follow this timeline on screen in a way, or you follow the other one. You can't really cross them over because it just creates conflict, in my opinion at least. And as well, the other issue being, the main issue, is that Kaden said in the police interview he went back to sleep at around 3:20 in the morning. Kaden Pressy had said that in Partners in True Crime public interview, he went back to sleep 3 in the morning. So either Kaden went back to sleep 3 in the morning or 20 minutes later. And if it was 20 minutes later, 20 more minutes of consciously being awake but not actually seeing where Noah Presgrove was, is that a telling sign that at that time of where Kaden assumed Noah was still there but couldn't physically see him, is because Noah was in a different room, being showered or being fed food or teabagging, probably not, or bedroom debacle, trying to sleep in one of the girls' rooms? What's really going on? And the closer it is to when Noah actually walked away, and the closer it is to when Kaden went back to sleep, bridging that gap, you'd think Kaden would have seen or heard a little bit more than if he had gone to sleep earlier and been oblivious to it. So there's a bit of conflict there. I just wanted to re-highlight it. There might be certain details or words or bits and bobs not quite visible here on screen, but the project is old and I was trying to do a summary of it at the time whilst narrating over the additional details from my memory. If it needs to be more refined in the future, maybe, but as we know, the case is a bit messy. The recounts of stories are a bit messy from different people. So trying to keep up with it all and switch and change with time and make adjustments, it can be a bit full on, can't it? But I think what we'll do now is just acknowledge the final little details here on the right. So in Partners in True Crime, Kaden Pressy said he was there on Saturday and close friends were at the party only. Close friends only. And that on Sunday there was 30 to 40 people present at the party. The police recorded interview, Kaden Pressy said Friday to Saturday there was 40 people present. And that on Sunday there was about 15 people. That's a massive difference, isn't it, compared to what Kaden had said in the public interview compared to the private interview. That's why it gets a bit confusing. And for it to be Friday to Saturday, 40 people there, still worded just like the other interview by Kaden, as it was all at once. But how others have interpreted it since, like Justin Roy, 30, 40 people in total over the course of the days. The amount of, unique individuals that came on down and were present may have left, and then more came after. And if any did return back, they don't count as another visitor, they just count as one. like a total at the end of the day, a total at the end of the party, which would be Monday. At least from all the footage, party pictures, what we saw, we've never seen 40 people all in place at once. People coming and going and a lot of movement and activity, rather interesting. Measuring how much movement and activity was there at the time of when Noah actually walked away himself, that would be good to know. But that appears to be it there. Down here, 3 a.m, side-by-side chair, sleep in the back, or I think from how Jack Newton told it in the past. Yeah, these black markers are more external ones, not to do with Kaden. Highway timestamps mainly the same. Yeah, so that's a positive there, but still. Some details, more details here compared to details there, but some details here mentioned which weren't acknowledged in that interview, and some timestamps mentioned in here which weren't mentioned in the police interview, and some statistics about partygoers being present and who was there from the public interview differs greatly from the private interview. So you can see the differences. And quite possibly there might be more differences, discrepancies, which haven't been listed here. And if you really wanted to list them down below in the comments between the police interview, Partisan True Crime interview, feel free to do so below. Transitioning onto the comment section now of a previous video that I've done. I just wanted to see what people have had to say. In regard to the map analysis of what we just finished there with Kaden Pressy, this is still about the Noah Presgrove case as a whole and what we've been looking at recently. If you do want to rewind back, feel free. And if you're joining late, you can do so too, or catch up later. But let's just see if there's anything relevant or linkable or anything that needs to be acknowledged. And now there might be a previous video on top of it, which has even more comments and responses, which should be looked at, but don't quite have the time for that. And as well, there needs to be like a little surprise at the end of this video. Well, actually, for some people, it's going to be a bigger surprise because of what I have found, okay? You think of Google Earth satellite imagery. Oh, look what I found. We'll get to that later. Member guest, thanks so much again, Raf, for your steady forward movement, cutting through all the big egos and BS. Your constant coverage is very much appreciated. That's obviously good to know. Shout out to member guest for the positive things that they say. Above, they mention also not inviting a memoir in the comments, but thank you to all the great people in the chat who would not allow it to be derailed by bad actors. Well done. And I guess it's been good behaviour by people just recently, so we've been doing okay. One day at a time. Adulting is satisfying. Chaos is useless. Okay. Interesting. I mean, as for any memoirs, comments or paragraphs, if I do have to read them out in one of my videos, rest in peace to me because I'm probably going to have a dry throat by the end of reading it. Lisa says, that was interesting. That's good to know. Kaylee Marie. I don't know why I'm doing that voice. I'm transitioning a bit too quick. Let me hold that off for now. Apologies. Kaylee says, pretty sure it was Jan Fiorillo's words that the family didn't like. I can't remember about that, but what I do remember is Tiffany Shepherd was questioning and inquiring about the likes of the GoFundMe. Robin Smith wasn't too happy with that, and some others. And Tiffany Shepherd also mentioned about how people from the army page seem to be doing more, caring more than possibly some of the family members. That post may have been deleted or edited at the time, but others saw it and it went somewhat nuclear at the time. That's based off my memory, what I remember seeing. Some people may deny it, but just let me know. Does anyone else in chat if you remember witnessing it as well? Skippy, for your information, during Partisan True Crime episode 11, at that timestamp, Robin and Ashley said they heard there's a video of Avery and Carter on the front porch fighting about Noah. They didn't see the video, but were told about it by OHP. Yeah, so it's good for Skippy to make a reference to that. It's obviously very helpful. Whilst Justin Roy has mentioned it himself in the Partisan True Crime interview, it's also interesting for Robin and Ashley to have acknowledged it as well. And they were told about it by OHP. So Brooke Bounce, Carter and some others say there is no video or it just didn't happen in the first place to the event. But the police are saying that it does exist, it did happen, and Robin and Ashley were informed about it. So how was Justin Roy informed about it then? By the OHP too? or somebody else? Beth Rose, I've seen a screenshot of that video, so I know it does exist. Oh. Is that so? So, Beth Rose, you seem to know something very important, or at least witnessed something arguably very important. Is the screenshot still available? Do you have it? And if not, when did you see the screenshot? Where was it posted? What page? What group? What time? Was it removed? Who posted it in the first place? Interesting. So for anyone watching in the live chat or squabbling, if anyone's choking one another or tugging, just focus in for a second, look at what Beth Rose has said, and then let me know your thoughts, because, you know, we can't just casually let this brush by. If someone has witnessed something which is an important event in the case, it'd be good to see a bit of a follow-up there. Oh no, we've got Oliver Twist 69. Oh my goodness. Says, too drunk to take a shower and needed help from 3 people. Carter Combs, Jasmine Millan, and one of his best guy friends, but somehow was able to walk off a mile down the road. Autopsy shows BAC levels of 0.14. Is that the alcohol? Blood alcohol levels. And 0.18. That seems like an elevated concentration of alcohol. Patricia, exactly. He can't shower, but he can walk away. Do these kids even hear what they say? They contradict themselves repeatedly. Well, this is the thing. If you got some people on one side saying, no, Presgrave, yes, ended up at the highway, but he didn't walk, he was in a vehicle, well, that could make a little bit of sense, as in somehow Noah ends up in a vehicle, which is a bit questionable, but if it's at the time of him going to cool off, but struggling to cover much distance because he's so out of it, if it's that bad, somehow getting into a truck bed to sleep it off or rest partially instead of on the hard ground, maybe. But what? Others leaving at a time to then drive off? At the time of when Noah Presgrave had left the house, shortly afterwards, Texas boys left as well. From what Stevie Howard mentioned in the past, that the cameras didn't work, but the cameras did work for when the Texas boys were leaving. Oh, you could see how it could possibly link shortly after. Texas boys driving off, and if they were to go north, because that's the way they can get back to Texas down the back roads, Noah still in the back somehow and undetected somehow. And then that's where people theorize the possibility of Noah somehow falling out of the vehicle and then dying that way, and others being oblivious to it at the time. I can see how one links with another. If only the cameras were working, which may have reinforced as hard evidence to show the time of when Noah truly left the house, where he truly went, if he went into a truck or not, and then the proof of possibly if Texas boys left shortly afterwards, then getting in the same vehicle which Noah climbed into the back of. But obviously, when you got the likes of the partygoers like Jack Newton, more so, speaking on behalf of what Logan was last to see, and anyone else in between, but they saw Noah heading east towards the highway, walking. Is there a small chance that there was a handful of vehicles parked down the road east, closer to the highway? So whilst Noah did go east, walking down that dirt road, along the way there was the odd vehicle parked up, which then Noah climbed into, which was out of sight by the light. Maybe. Worth acknowledging as a possibility. Beth Rose, I wonder who was videotaping, as that would add one more to the involvement of the shower, yet I've never seen a time. Yeah, I mean, we don't know if Carter or Jasmine was recording the video, and then a best friend guy jumped in the shower with Noah. Total of 4 people in the bathroom. If you wanted to say there was a 5th person that was recording it, 4 or 5 people in the bathroom? Interesting, because it is a small room as well. Kathy, did OLE, or maybe OHP, I don't know, ask the girls who gave Noah a shower why did he need a shower and what time? Well, he needed a shower because supposedly he was dirty. He needed a shower because Kaden said Sunday night he overheard Noah inquiring about having a shower anyway, and most people probably would or want or need one around the time before going to sleep, so that makes sense. Speeding it up more so because of the side-by-side rollover getting dirty, wanting to feel clean and fresh, makes sense. As for the time of when it happened, we don't know of, but it was supposedly recorded, and if we had the recording and we saw the overload of the timestamp, that would go a long way and fill in some of the blanks. Suzanne says, I'm wondering now, after his blood alcohol level at 14% or 18%, I don't think Noah could have walked away on his own away from the party house. That's just what I've wondered. So you could always say that Kaden Pressy had said in the past, Noah Presgrove would often walk away to cool off whenever he was drunk. So if we're going to question the alcohol percentage levels this time round to possibly explain him not going that far because he's not physically able to, well, it just so happens, from what Kaden Pressy says, Noah Presgrove was quite okay in managing in the past. Whenever he was drunk, he would walk away. And at times when drunk, he could end up here or there and further on. So if Noah has form for walking away, if Noah has form for when he's drunk and how he reacts and the distance he can cover, why are we only questioning this one event then? Oh, because we don't know what the alcohol levels percentages were like in the past. Maybe Noah was more drunk this time round than older parties, but we don't know. So it's just up for open discussion there. Response-wise, not seen Jade for a while, true, but the only way he could really walk off, he was used to drinking and used to it. Built up a level of resistance, fair enough. Drinks a lot of previous times, he may have been able to walk because his body would be used to it. And from what Kaden Pressy has said, when Noah was drunk, it would often link on with him walking away to cool off. So, yeah, possible. And in between, you could negotiate and say, well, yeah, Noah may have left the house, but not to say he left the property. Whilst he may have ended up down the highway, which be interpreted as foul play, if you wanted to tie in Brooke Bounds Carter's theory or anyone else's in between, Noah leaving the house, heading east, then coming by a vehicle down the dirt road out of sight to climb on in to rest, to settle down, but drifting off too deeply. So when anyone else left after, shortly, like Texas boys, getting in that same vehicle Noah was in and driving north, and Noah being woken or startled, wondering what the hell's going on and trying to get out and things going wrong and dying that way. It can be pieced together. It can make sense as a theory or concept without thinking much about the autopsy report, just from my point of view at this moment in time. This video isn't directly dedicated to this particular area. That's why I'm not going in too deep, but no harm, mention it. Maria says, yes, I do believe Noah Presgrove walked away, but how do we know if Noah ever came back to the party? Like the partygoer said, it was normal for Noah to walk away and come back. Also, partygoer said it was a habit of Noah leaving and coming back. So the time from 3:30 to 3:41, 11 minutes to do something and maybe finish the beating somewhere else. Warlike Rav, just my opinion, my thoughts. Hope the case gets settled already for now. Appreciate you very much. All your videos, very interesting. Well, I appreciate that, Maria. And Jan Fiorillo, I've just liked this comment, not because of the beating concept or that theory. I'm liking Maria's comment because they said positive things about me, okay? I'm just giving some directions and instructions, guidelines, so everyone knows exactly what I'm doing. And for anyone else out there, I'm just going to take a deep breath in now and breathe out. I thought I would just explain the process of me breathing and blinking my eyes, just in case anyone thought that I was, contracting some kind of deadly disease from the dark side or anything like that. No, it's all okay, don't worry. Oh no, speaking of long comments, we're getting into it now. Julie says, so at the timestamp in my video, you're talking about Noah walking off, and that is a usual thing he does at parties, which is fair enough, okay? What I'm trying to understand is, if this is normal for Noah and they were not concerned enough to follow to check where he was, why bother searching for him after such a short period of him walking away. These details that I query, fair enough, because in my mind that doesn't make sense. Why would you need to go and search for him shortly after he walked off if you were not concerned enough to stop him or just check and keep an eye out on him wherever he was going? So, as I recall, walked off at 3:30. Jasmine posted 11 minutes later, and they went out searching from the time of that message, or 4 p.m. If it's normal Noah thing, then why would you bother searching soon after he left? They were concerned shortly after he walked off, but not concerned enough to stop him or keep an eye on him. Okay, fair enough. I can explain that in a second. Patricia, nothing in this case makes any sense. It just keeps getting worse. I'm really afraid of what might not know what happened to Noah. Beth, I agree with you. They claim Noah would walk off for around 30 minutes and then come back, so why the urgency so early on? As this was per usual. I believe Raf stated the same in one of his videos as well. Great observation. John, yes, it was botched from the get-go. Ramifications. Someone has to wake up every day knowing they cause misery, grief. And Sonny says, oh, great question. Right, this is the thing. Noah Presgrove supposedly walked away at 3:30. 30 minutes after that would be, 4 in the morning. 4 in the morning to 4:30, because of that Snapchat post of Logan Carter at the party house. And the search in between would mean the search in between 4 in the morning to 4:30 when returning back to the house, meaning a 30-minute search took place, which would mean, when looking back retrospectively, whilst Noah Presgrove was absent for 30 minutes after leaving the house at 3:30, tying in with what Kaden Pressy had said in regards to how long Noah would be absent for, around 30 minutes, the usual. But within that same, that time frame cap, then partygoers becoming suddenly concerned and then trying to search for Noah. It is a bit of a tight timeline, I do understand. Let's say, I think it would make more sense, not saying it happened, but it would have made more sense and it would have been more believable if Noah had walked away at 3 in the morning, okay? 30 minutes as usual, based off Kaden's accounts. After 3:30, silence. 4 in the morning, still silence, and then a search taking place. You've already reached over the 30-minute cap period, 30-minute curfew of when Noah's away normally. Many more time passing on by since that. 4 in the morning, then action being taken and people searching for about 30 minutes. Unsuccessful, then returning back to the house, then the Snapchat being taken. That would make more sense as for people being possibly concerned and it being more truthful. However, could it still be truthful that close to that 30-minute curfew cut-off period of Noah still being out there and not returning back, no sign, no acknowledgement, that maybe 10 minutes afterwards, then a search was done? Still a tight window. Would people be getting concerned that quick when it should be more time passing by to then be more concerned? Well, as I said, Kaden Pressy says, well, Noah normally walks away and he's out there for about 30 minutes. But if we're basing it off Kaden Pressy, and when he regards timing of stuff, he tends to give a bit of an estimate and a rough one without actually mentioning it as an actual estimate. Just like how Kaden Pressy said, well, that Brylan Sweat slapping Noah video, which Kaden recorded, was at 1:30 in the morning. Nope, it was actually at 1:05 in the morning. Do you see the big time difference there? And then like with Kaden Pressy saying, I went back to sleep at 3 in the morning. Oh, but then in the private interview, Kaden says, no, I went back to sleep 20 minutes later. So you see a pattern and a trend of a 20-minute time difference here, a 30-minute time difference there from what Kaden Pressy said in one interview compared to another interview. So if you used to use that pattern and theme, you could say when Kaden said Noah would walk away and be missing or out of action for about 30 minutes, is that really true? Could it have been longer? Could it have been shorter? Maybe Noah's away for about 15 to 20 minutes. And if that was the case, then it would make more sense for partygoers being concerned at 4 in the morning onwards and then searching. So whilst Kaden Pressy gives a time in regards to Noah, it doesn't mean to say it's the absolute truth of that exact time. It could be a bit shorter, the period of time away. And if that was the case, it would make more sense for partygoers to be more concerned a bit quicker. So it's worth acknowledging. Tracy, Noah was added to the missing 411 files, not because anyone thinks he was abducted by aliens or Bigfoot. That is assumption likely by someone who doesn't follow David and is not part of the village. Well, actually, I don't follow David Paulides, but I did watch his video, I did do my analysis, and he did mention references to aliens and possible Bigfoot too. He did advertise his book, and he did miss out many details in regards to the case. He didn't mention key timestamps. He didn't mention relevant key information either. So it was extremely lacking and extremely disappointing. But of course, if you haven't covered true crime, or, you're not followed a case, or you're a bit of a disconnect or a bit of a biasness towards looking up to someone who then gets involved, puts their fingers into pies that don't belong, and they don't do the research themselves. There'll be a cross-conflict, crossroads of conflict within, and all kinds. So, yeah, in terms of missing 411 files, it doesn't just have to be aliens or Bigfoot. It could be much more. The National Wildlife Parks, how people can go out there and not return back, strange disappearances, unexplainable events, portals and other bits and bobs along the way. I mean, if people had done their research and followed my channel and looked at the Kenny Veach case, which I've covered since 2020, which I was listening into and researching from 2015 at the age of 15 years old, Warlight Rev was doing research on a particular mystery at 15 years old, at the age of 20 doing his first video about one, and then going on from there. David Paulides being somewhat influential in the Kenny Veach case, and it making sense there because of the unknown possibilities, the mysteries, the portals, tall white alien greys, the entrances, the exit ways, military bases, Area 51, tunnel ways, exit ways, M-Cave, equipment, military stuff, technology, all kinds of wacky things, possibilities. Mothman, which some people said, or some kind of cryptoid. Yes, that's a mystery. That's a missing person case. Noah Presgrove is not a missing person and never was a missing person. He was never reported as a missing person to the police. There was no missing person posters. It's not a missing person case. It's just a true crime case, which is a mystery. So for David Paulides, aliens or not, or much more, to get involved in a case like this, which has nothing to do with missing people, it just doesn't quite link up well. So that's what I'm getting at there. But oh well. Response-wise, we got Michaela. Just for you. It is weird how many cases are a mirror to Noah's have been involved. It's so sad. Haven't been involved. Right. Well, the Dylan Rounds case is similar to the Noah Presgrove case, but neither are linked with the true missing 411, okay? Dylan Rounds was considered a missing person, reported as a missing person, but in the end was just basically found dead and buried by the killer. No aliens, no probing, no men in black, no creatures or anything paranormal like that, just straight up murder, true crime in the end. The Noah Presgrove case, in some ways even more simplified by the fact is just a straight up death, at least. No buried body, no missing related person like that. You could say missing items or missing hat or wallet, but that's not 411. A bit of clothing a part of a case elsewhere, different, telling story. Patricia Carter Combs stated that Noah was so drunk that she and Jasmine had to help him stand up whilst he showered. So I don't understand how he can't be up in the shower by himself, but he could walk down a mile by the road by himself. The thing is, we haven't seen the footage or the video footage of what Noah looked like and the state that he was in. That could tell a story clearly, couldn't it? So we're only just theorising at this moment in time. I think it's important to acknowledge that whilst at a certain time of when the shower took place, we need to know the time difference of when the shower took place and then the time of when Noah walked away. If Noah had walked away at 3:30, when did the shower take place, and then work out the time difference. In between that time difference, was there enough time for Noah to sober up or become a little bit better? Because let's take in mind, whether it's exaggerating or underestimating with Noah's abilities in the past, like with Kaden Pressy, a reference there. Kaden Pressy said by 10:30 when the cousin arrived, Kaden sobered up. Well, interpreting it like that, you'd be thinking, oh, sobered up, all good, all A-OK, but by the way, Noah, I can't give you a lift back home because I've been drinking. So technically, you're not quite sobered up just yet. It could be a loose reference or term. So ability is not quite natural, not quite 100%. Reflex, timing, reactions, not quite 100%. Sobered up, but not literally, not absolutely. Could that apply to Noah Presgrave as well? Possibly. What else do we have here? John, contradictory and clear, covering the tracks baffling. How did Ellie not just send suspicion on this group? Or they did and just covered it up, tried letting it air out. Sherry, I don't believe he did. Jade, does anyone know what time they showered Noah? Well, we don't at the moment. Oliver Twist, good question. Because the Ellie Kaden Pressy interview said shortly after taking the video of Noah Presgrave and Brian Sweat around 1:50. Whoa. What's this about? Kaden said shortly after taking the video of Noah and Brylan around 1:50. Well, what we've seen, it was actually done at 1:05 in the morning. But I'll just continue reading this. He sat down in the house to watch TV before he fell asleep at 2 in the morning. Jasmine Millan told him that Noah had walked off, which, if that's based off what I remember and what I've applied on my maps, that was between 2 to 3 a.m. in the morning, which doesn't link in with Jack's time. If Noah Presgrave had a history of walking off but returning, why would Jasmine Millan be concerned about it this time round? Noah Presgrave did not seem that intoxicated as it was described in the video where he was slapped, true. So the question I have is, at what time did this shower occur? If Kaden Pressy's account is correct, then the party goes shower timeline, and when Noah Presgrave walked off, it's not adding up. Jasmine's post at 3:41, while Noah is missing, suggests that Noah Presgrave had been missing for at least an hour and a half. All right, so you're basing it off the 2 to 3 in the morning time of when Noah had walked away based off what Jasmine Millan said to Kaden Pressy at a later point. I do understand that, but the problem is Kaden did say that at 2:43 in the morning that Kaden was seen inside the house awake. But Kaden Pressy did say, though, in the private interview differently, that at 3:20 when going to sleep, Noah was nowhere to be seen. Does that mean to say Noah was nowhere to be seen before that, though? Debatable. Beth, Noah may have normally walked off, but I don't believe Noah walked away that early that morning due to Noah not being able to stand up alone to shower. But you know what the important thing is? Carter Combs or Jasmine or both may have said, oh, Noah needed assistance just in case he would fall over. Maybe there was a bit of assistance, but to what extent, we don't know. How much touching to hold him up, we don't know. Did Noah slip at any point or stumble? We don't know. There is video footage out there, but we've not seen it. So we don't actually know what the condition or state Noah was in. Some could exaggerate and say he was really drunk and out of it and he just couldn't walk, and others could say he was somewhat okay. Let's just remember the way people word it as the party, full of alcohol, booze and all kinds of shit going down. We saw the footage Sunday night, didn't we? Okay, in Pressy's point of view, did they look really wild and feral animals? No. Did it look somewhat controlled and not too drunk? Yeah. And then even Monday, when we saw the people there, they didn't look too bad, didn't look too drunk. They were able to stand. Noah was as well. I mean, there could have been a bit of disorientation after that side-by-side rollover amongst some of the alcohol. It might have been a temporary disorientated state. We've got to work out the time difference of 3:30 when walking away, supposedly, and before that, the shower. If he had like 15, 20 minutes to recover, stabilise himself, and if he had been fed by Carter in between with yogurt or ramen noodles, sobering up just a little bit. So there is still that possibility that Noah could have walked so far. And if Noah had been drunk in the past, which Kaden had said, well, Noah's got experience walking and being drunk and managing. So why would it be different this time round? Why? And people could say, well, it's because of the blood alcohol levels being much higher this time round, so that's why we think that. Yes, but you don't know what his alcohol levels were like back then, but he still managed to walk, and he was still drunk, from what Kaden said. We can't do a comparison at this moment in time. May never. No, may have... Okay, let's move on. I know some have many screenshots from back then. Let's hope some of them will send them to Raf and help you out. Imagine if there was like an original screenshot or video of the shower video or the rollover to give an actual time. That'd be interesting. My understanding is Ellie hasn't told anyone exactly where the phone's pinged at. I just mentioned the vicinity as they shouldn't, since it's an ongoing investigation. Did anyone else hear of an exact location? Not my awareness. Only the mention of 2 phones pinging at the area of Noah's body, one of which being Jack's, and that led to that polygraph test and supposedly passing it. And the reasoning behind that, from what Jack said, passed on from what police told him, was that because of bad signal out there, it pinged in the wrong area. But if that's really the case, then I would like to hope and think that, to be consistent, the time when at the highway near to the body, when Tyler Hardy called at 5:46 in the morning, that because of bad signal and the call not quite working out, bad signal, if the phone was to ping at that time, it shouldn't ping at the highway at the body, it should ping randomly elsewhere then, based off Jack's saying and understanding, right? But we don't know, we haven't been told. I wouldn't have carried on with any plans I may have had until I found my friend. Would have called 911 after an hour of looking for my friend. I wonder who recorded the video of them 2 arguing. I recall seeing screenshots of the argument and them starting with the video, but I don't recall who posted the group. Actually, let me just see. I recall seeing a screenshot of that argument and them stating it was a video, but I don't recall who posted it in the group. Oh, is this the one where Beth said she saw a photo of the argument on the porchway, which is a screenshot still photo taken from a video? Great coverage, Raf. Thank you. You're welcome. That's good to know. Member guest. Wish all the commenters would actually listen to the material in Raf's videos. Well, you know, if my videos weren't live premieres, then people would have no choice but to listen to me and the videos. You wouldn't get the distraction of the live chat. But of course, if you take away the live chat, then you wouldn't get answers and questions. So give and take. Smooth Fishing, shout out to Smooth Fishing, good person, long time viewer. I think Jasmine Milan went outside to look or maybe yell for Noah, his name, and when she didn't get an answer, that's just when she just made the post right where she was. Yeah, possibly, yeah. George Choden, just looking at the live chat comments, the Noah Presgrove micro enemy is in full swing, people wanting to cash in, profit, make it all about themselves, and F all about Noah Presgrove. Warlike Raf, good video, and thanks for peeling back the onion and seeing where all the noise originated. You're welcome. Oh yeah, by the way, Warlike Raf has liked George Choden's comment, not because it supports what supposedly has gone on in the background with the Justin Roy situation or anyone else getting attacked. No, Warlike Raf is simply liking this person's comment more so because this person has acknowledged my video and the quality of it, which is a positive thing to say. I'm just explaining the situation for health and safety reasons, just in case we get an autobiography, an interrogation, and then I end up getting told off like a naughty boy that I supposedly am. So hopefully everybody understands loud and clear. Moving on. Sunny, very informative, Raf, doing awesome, appreciate that. One day at a time, good job, appreciate that, shout out to them. We've reached the end of the comments. Now, besides all this heaviness, let's transition onto something different. And when I say transition onto something different, we're moving away from the Noah Presgrove case. I just wanted to make that very clear. Don't stress. Meow. Oh, there we go. Oh, yeah, there we go. So, Melanie Fagan, we found a kitty cat cafe. Did you find your best friend? Adopt through our partners. Are there actual cats, though? Oh, God, what is this sick, twisted stuff? No real cats, just ornaments on the side. Oh, no, where's the real cats at? There we go. The ginger man, the ginger cat, all curled up. Meow, meow. How do I do the meow sound? I did it. Meow, 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 meow. There we go. A little bit of purring as well. There we go. All rested, asleep, and cozy. So if there's ever any drama, conflict, any trouble going on, you just think of the ginger cats, okay? Sharon, you need to look after this cat, or the cat wants to be cuddled. Do we have any more? Oh my God, how many cats do we have here? Oh my God, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 11. A lot of cats about. Whoa. Getting all about. Nice. Oh, that ginger cat. Why has he got such a soggy tail? Oh my God. Bit of a wet kitty. We don't want any wet kitties. No. Little kitty cats. But he's definitely posing. What's his name though? Stanley. Oh my God, that's the same name as one of my cats in the past. Don't stress. Meow it. Oh yeah. But we need more cats. There we go. Unfortunately, I can't zoom in because of dodgy Google Earth, the way it is nowadays. It won't let me zoom in. We've got one on the left, one on the right, and then some of us hiding about. Oh my God, look at that kitty cat with his eyes. Roar. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, Beauty Garumo. Are you melting right now? Oh, what a shame. It'll be fine. Whoa. What's that cat doing? Reaching up for some food. Like some little arcade dispenser. You get it out. That black cat down there is thinking, oh, what are you doing? That facial expression. And we've got one now on a bloody bridge. What's it doing on a bridge? Looking down. So confused. Very interesting. Then we've got some more there. How many cats are there? I don't see like the cafe aspect or any drinks. I'm just seeing lots of cats. Oh, there we go. Yeah, come to a cafe and then we got some, what's that? Is that Tropicana? I don't know why I'm still stuck in that American voice. There we go. Another cat fast asleep, resting. 91 cats saved since 2023. And some photos below. Whoa, that looks a bit inappropriate. What's that? A cat showing its rear with an X marks the spot. Whoa, no. X marks the spot on the kitty? For what exactly? Whoa, calm down. But what do we have here? Some more cats just resting. Loaves of bread. Watching can. Oh my God. That's definitely squashed. Looking from underneath. My God, taking photos of kitty cats when they're asleep without their consent. And even more cats there. Yeah, so pretty good. Oh, and let's not forget the drinks. Yeah, because we know Beauty Garumo. Stop. Beauty Garumo, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, Beauty. You got all the drinks that you need right here, and as well Sharon, because she likes drinking coffee, but she's very petty and specific about what she likes. Well, I'm sorry, newsflash, Sharon, you'll be drinking what's available, whether you like it or not. So we got some what the hell do you say that? Oh my God, I've just realized some of the names are worded after cats, like a Meowcha. Yeah, Meowcha. A chai latte. That's not freaking cat related, where is it? Hot cocoa, hot tea, iced tea, bottle soda. Oh, we got juice, beer, wine, extra shot. That's not enough for Sharon. She needs 10 shots. And I'll just about hit the spot. A little bit of oat milk. Come on. Sprinkle some seeds on top. A blended latte. Goodness gracious. A cat Pacino. Oh, very funny. And a Merricato. Yeah. An espresso. Wow. Meowing and purring at the same time. And a catifine. Wow. Really high level names that. Good play on words. Very impressed. So if you're in Oklahoma, you can go down to the Stress Meow Cat Cafe and there's a lot of cats nearby. Hopefully, for most part of it, you understood this video, the purpose of it, the reasoning of it, and just to recap, if it needs any adjustments, it can be done so in the future, but as said, it was a project at the time, relevant at the time, and I just wanted to reiterate it now to see if people agree or disagree. And if you want to share the video, hit the like button, feel free to do so, that'd be appreciated. And overall, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. My name's Wallach Raff. Goodbye and good night.